Welcome to Autism on the Sea Special Vacation Podcast. This is your host, Lisa Caslin, and I am with Jeff Jannarone today. He is awesome. He and his daughter are, I guess I'll call you a regular cruiser now, right? Because you've been on 3 and you've got 2 planned for next year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Jeff, I know you have led a very interesting life. You were formerly in law enforcement, you were a teacher, and now you are a very, very dedicated parent to Julia, right?
One for April and one for August of next year.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about how you initially got connected with Autism on the Seas, because you knew somebody that was involved with the organization, right?
Right. Sarah Meyer is one of the AOTS volunteers, and Sarah was the behavioral therapist for my daughter, who started with her at age 4. So at age 5, Miss Sarah took a cruise with AOTS as a volunteer, and I believe that was July. And then when she came back, she introduced us to the opportunity. And of course, I was extremely hesitant, but knowing that Miss Sarah was there to help, encouraged me to do it, and I'm so glad we did, because the opportunity just was excellent. And one other side note, we went to Disney this past winter, and I'll always go back to cruising because Disney just couldn't accommodate our needs. No disrespect to Disney, but what we needed, they just couldn't do.
Give me an example of that. What was it that you were...
we were trying to navigate the park. Finding a bathroom. That was... just those little things, and not having the staff, just there to constantly guide you and help you and mentor you. It was very difficult. Extremely difficult. And the one day we were successful was the day one of the AOTS staff met us at Disney because she happened to live down there. And the rest of the trip, it was just not very productive.
All right. Well, you have now turned convert, and you're a cruise fan, so that's good. We like that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your daughter. She's 8 years old, right?
She is. She's 8, and she is what they call twice exceptional. She has a very high intelligence level, but she also has some low-functioning areas such as social-emotional, ADHD, sensory perceptions. So some of those are extremely challenging, which puts her own brain in conflict with itself. So we're working through those issues right now with different types of therapy, whether it be occupational, physical, behavioral, sand play therapy, whatever it is.
Okay. And when you have cruised with us, how is she interacting with the other children?
The first couple years, the first 2 trips, she wholly interacted with the AOTS children. The first trip she wholly interacted with the AOTS children. There was a diverse group of children on that cruise, and one little girl was very similar to her, actually a couple of them, and they created a little girls club, and that was very successful. The second cruise, she integrated not only with the AOTS children, but the camp that's on board the ship. So she participated a little bit in both, but mostly with the AOTS. And then this last trip, during the day, she wanted to be with the camp on the ship, but at night, she always wanted to be with the AOTS children.
That's interesting. Well, it's great that she's, forging ahead and trying to be part of both groups.
Yes, and if you ask her why, you just never get the answer. There are certain things that you can ask, and you'll never find out the answer because she just won't tell you. She doesn't explain a lot of the things that are going on in her head.
Yeah.
It's like you don't. If you give her the opportunity, how was school today? And she'll just say, good. What did you do? The same
Sounds
stuff.
like my daughter.
Yeah, right.
You want to need to know.
Correct. Yeah, and obviously we just don't need to know.
Right.
But without a lot of prodding, and even with prodding, you might never get the answer.
Right. You had mentioned something earlier before we started the formal interview that I thought was really impressive, and you were kind of sharing, your thoughts and fears about your daughter getting bullied, because of her special needs, and you said, you never thought about the flip side of that, cruising with Autism on the Seas as an example, and being around other kids that maybe a little less high functioning like she is, and you had kind of a little experience. Talk about that.
I had an awesome experience with it because as a father of a special needs child, I'm always afraid of bullying, and I always expected my daughter to be the victim. Mm-hmm. Well, she was interacting with a nonverbal young man who was, I'm estimating, about 17 years of age. And he was playing a little Fisher-Price piano. So she's interacting with him, and they're playing music back and forth, and he made some awkward sounds, and then she followed in suit, which I assumed she was trying to bully the boy. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, I asked why she was doing it, and she told me she was trying to communicate with him in his own language.
I know, that's beautiful.
So the lesson to me is I have to also expect more from my daughter, the same as I would expect from a typical child, mm-hmm. and not always assume that she's going to be the victim where she has the opportunity to victimize others, which she hasn't, and I'm blessed mm-hmm. for that. Mm-hmm. So AOTS has taught her compassion for those that may have a little, some more limitations than she does, but mm-hmm. also some that have the same limitations that she does. So it's a beautiful relationship where she's learning more than just going on vacation.
Yeah. And so did you. Instead of taking advantage of the respite, you were getting coached by the by the staff, right?
Yeah. Having the exposure to so many diverse disciplines from the staff gave me so many more opportunities to learn on how to deal with different situations. Uh-huh. So a physical therapist deals with things differently than a social worker. A behavioralist deals with things differently than a doctor. Mm-hmm. So having all those different exposures was great because sometimes it was about stimulating my daughter with some type of physical activity, not a mental activity. Uh-huh. So I learned so many valuable skills just by being on the cruise and observing.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. So when you cruised with your daughter, how does she take to the various activities on the ship?
Well, some very well, others with hesitation, but with the support of the staff, most of the time she's willing to try. Mm-hmm. There are certain things she won't do. She still hasn't done the wakeboarding. Mm-hmm. But she did do the iFly, which is the skydiving. She did it the first year, refused the second, but then the third year came back and did it again. Roller skating. First year she did it. Second year she refused. Third year she did. Bumper cars. All 3 years loved it. But you're talking about the sensory stimulation, right? Loves that sensory of the input from being what we call bonked.
Yeah, it's thrilling. Well, I guess what I'd love to hear from you is just some personal feedback. I mean, I know that you put your daughter first, but I mean, if you were to kick back and take some time for yourself, would you recommend it to other parents who are in a similar situation as you?
Well, absolutely, because they give you the opportunity to have family time. What I noticed was most valuable is when you have a special needs child and you devote so much time to them, what happens to the typical children in your family?
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't get all the attention that the non-typical does.
It's true.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Right. So on these trips, the staff give them the opportunity to be a family without the special needs child, and it gives them the ability to have some fun without worrying that their child's needs are being met. It's a safe place to leave your children so that you can go and enjoy yourself with the rest of your family as a typical family would do.
It's true. So, in terms of your daughter's, expectations and desire to go on these, because does she talk about it? Does she, bring it up to you? Does she say, I want to go again? Or
yes and no. Sometimes we'll get responses that I look forward to the cruise. Here are some of the activities that I liked, some of the locations that I've been to. But we're not really an expressive child of feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So by her not putting up a fuss to go says a lot, because if she didn't like it, I definitely know. And we don't have anxiety anymore when we do go on vacation. So she's accepted it.
Good. And she did have a little bit of a hiccup on the cruise, right? Did she have a little bit of a point?
Yeah. That was the second year. Yeah, I think that was the second year. Yes, second.
Sounds like the second year was a bad year.
No, but what happened was she had what I thought was a self-esteem question, and I prompted it with, she didn't think she had any value. So I asked her, are you trustworthy? Which then brought back a memory from her of lying to a teacher about 3 years prior. So she melted down to a degree that I've never seen before because she lied and she wasn't trustworthy.
Oh.
So, but here's the good news. Pick up the phone, call the staff, and one came to the cabin and worked it right on out with her. I couldn't do it myself. It was something I had not been exposed to. And they immediately responded. They immediately helped. And then we actually went to the final activity on the boat, which was the award ceremony. So possibly some of it was her fear of transitioning back to not being on the cruise because of the anxiety of it ending. But sometimes you just never know.
It's true. Well, I'm glad.
But the bottom line is the staff was there to help. It worked. And we got her to participate in the activity and finish the cruise on a positive note.
Terrific. Is there anything else that I didn't ask that I should have that you want to say?
Yeah, the best advice I ever got: book it, show up, and enjoy. And those three things are what I learned are actually the truth. Book it, show up, and enjoy it. Because you have the opportunity to enjoy. Your child's needs are going to be met, and they're going to be given the love and attention that they need. And then you can relax as a parent and maybe be able to enjoy a vacation.
Yeah, how about that?
Wouldn't that be lovely?
It would indeed. Listen, thank you so much for taking time, Jeff. It was a pleasure hearing your story, and I wish you and your family a lovely Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and likewise to you and all the families that are contemplating going on a cruise. And if any of them have any questions or concerns, feel free to give them my contact information. I'm more than happy to tell them about my fears and anxieties before I did it, and then the reality of those fears and anxieties.
Okay. That's a deal.
All right. Have a great day, ma'am, and thank you for allowing me to participate.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.